Hello and welcome everybody to the Ballers Across the Pond. And week 5 is now in the books. Peter, we're over halfway through the London games now. And I finally managed to go to my first game of the season. I didn't go to the Wembley game, but I went to the game at Tottenham. It was a barnstormer. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but how are you boys doing?
Yeah, no, I'm doing great. We're at that point now where certain teams are just gone into the bye. Teams know who they are. Some teams are full on tank mode. Some teams are trying to stretch out and see what they can get, and we kind of understand who's probably going to be standing there later on historically when all the dust settles. But yeah, no, it's a good time. It's a good time. You can really now proper evaluate a team. So yeah, it's good.
Well, like was said, I echo that. I mean, we've reached a pivotal point in the season whereby you will start to see teams start separating themselves a little bit, and then we'll start to see which teams are destined to finish at the bottom, which teams are gonna vie for a playoff spot, and then also, it's what I call the limbo type time of the season, like where teams, owners, and executives will sit down and they decide: Are we gonna
tank?
Are we gonna tank or are we gonna try and compete? And coaches know have ways of tanking. You could be competitive and still lose games and also tank, or you could just let every team win and tank. So there's different ways of doing it. So all the teams that have one wins or less have to think about what they're gonna do.
The only thing I'll say to that is, most of the time when somebody tanks, they get fired anyway.
Yeah,
they don't. So what is?
Well, it's for the owner, really.
Yeah,
but then it's also for your bonus as a coach, because you're still gonna get your payoff anyway.
Yeah, if you have security as a head coach, like if you're like a Sean Payton, then this is something I can do. But if you're the Chargers, if you're the Raiders, I mean, you're already on like a wooden plank, to say the least.
You're on thin ice. Yeah,
you can't be afford to hold back.
Most definitely. So, okay, let's go through a little bit of injury news. And there's a big one. The number one wide receiver in the league has a hamstring injury. And he is probably going to go on IR. Justin Jefferson, the offense for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
It's likely to go into IR, and we'll talk a little bit more in detail because we've got a whole segment on the Vikings in a little bit. But that's some pretty big news. In addition, we've got a couple of guys who have got some knee injuries. And one of them is a star rookie, Devon Achane. Star rookie of the Miami Dolphins. He's going on IR probably with a knee injury. Now, this is going to have an impact to the way that the Miami Dolphins do their offense. Considering that their offense relies so much on speed, do you think they're just going to have to rely more on Raheem Mostert, or they're going to have to utilize the third back because Raheem Mostert sometimes gets injured as well?
Yeah, they're going to have to spread out the ball. I think Raheem has been able to stay relatively on his feet because he's been splitting carries. They're just going to have to it's not really their MO. They're more of like a finesse speed offense. But they did acquire from Chicago. What's his name? Wide receiver. Former Steeler. They did acquire him. I'm having like a mind blank here. What's his name? Let me just see. But yeah, so he's more of like a big body
really
receiver.
Bad.
He
the guy's name.
He hasn't really done a lot,
Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson has gone to the Falcons. So, Chase Claypool. Yeah, sorry.
Chase Claypool. He's a really big body wide receiver, and he's definitely not a speed player. He's more of like a power possession receiver. He hasn't done much this season, but perhaps they can lean on him a little bit to try and switch things up with what they can do red zone. But it's a complete foil to the type of offensive weapons that they like. Like it's all speed, so
one thing I saw on actually on Twitter or X as they now call it. So one thing I saw in there was how the Dolphins like to use a 3-back set. And in that 3-back set, then that causes the opponent this weekend that they just had to bring on lots of linebackers because, that's a heavy package.
Yep.
But a 3-back set for the Dolphins is not a heavy package because you've got 2 speedsters.
You've got 2 speedsters, yep. Absolutely.
Which just means, and they ran a reverse and they just took them for a large gain. The Dolphins, through this speed offense that they've got, they heavy sets don't seem like what they would traditionally, right? Peter, I think you would see the same because they're being a little bit more innovative in the way that they're playing the game.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the question remains who are they going to get to replace him now? Because on IR, he's going to miss 4 games before he can,
Come
play
back
again once he recovers. So he's been a huge part of their offense, has been very productive in the early part of the season. So it's who can they pick up to replicate that speed in that 3-back set that they've got running? Because I'm sure Mike McDaniel would want to replicate that going forward as well. I mean, Jefferson's injury, on the other hand, is interesting.
It's interesting, and we're going to talk. Yeah, like I said,
I wish him a good recovery, though.
Recovery or not, he's not coming back. But we'll talk to that. I think he's basically just gonna wait until next year.
All right.
You just players moving teams. Where's the loyalty?
Wait. We're going to have to park that conversation because we have got a segment on it in a little bit. So let's now talk about the next knee injury. IR, James Conner. Peter, your boy is injured again.
I know. I mean, I think that's the story of James Conner. He's a very good talented back, provided you find the right system for him. And with his new offense, he seems to be doing well. But I think he got that knee injury after he had a big run as well, a 35-yard run in that game against the Bengals over the weekend. He seems to be playing really well, but then that hit, and then he's got beyond IR. It's going to be a huge hit to the offense, especially the fact that Kyler is not back yet. And we all saw that our QB needs quite a lot of help currently to be able to perform and win games. So I don't know what we're going to do. I think we did claim a running back off the waivers from the Saints to sort of contribute to the running back room. But I think this is definitely going to affect the Cardinals' win projections until Kyler comes back. And even then, we don't know how the offense is going to function. So a lot of dark moments ahead for the Cardinals, I'm afraid, because he was a big part of the offense.
You kind of predicted this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say, Pete, don't be too down, because it seems as though players on your team are still trying to win.
They are playing hard. Yeah,
they're playing hard regardless, and I think they still have something to prove, because, like I said, if it's a new regime, certain guys might be outside the door when next year rolls around. So some of those players, especially guys on the fringe, are kind of play either for a new contract or a chance to stay with the team as they continue to build.
There are a couple of plays. Hopefully, I'm not giving away your play of the week, but there are a couple of plays that I liked from the Cardinals this last week. One of them was the touchdown pass to Hollywood Brown. I really just that was just a nicely drawn up play. But the one that I really liked, I would say it's an honourable mention for play of the week. I don't think it is the fake double reverse Rondale Moore, and he kind of faked handing it off and then carried on and just took it for a huge gain. I really like that sleight of hand, and it was just something that you don't see that
Yeah,
often.
I mean, yeah, it was a great fake, and I've been impressed earlier on with our new OC Drew Peterson, and the things that he's able to do with this offense, and I'm very curious to see what he can do when Kyler comes back. Certainly, I wouldn't say the first 2 or 3 games, because when you're coming back from an ACL, it usually take you a while to get going. But once, let's say, Kyler's come back, played about 2 3 games, see how fully he'll open the offense, and seeing him running that offense, seeing how it's gonna fit is very, very interesting, because he's in his bag. Like he calls all sorts of various types of plays, and for the first time,
That'll make it fun.
yeah, and making it fun, because when I compare to the Kingsbury era, we were successful somewhat sometimes, but there was always like lots of penalties and stuff. What I've been very impressed about with our current coaching staff, including this offense, this OC that we've got, is there's hardly any penalties. They're running it.
So the discipline is high. So that's a good foundation for you guys
really
to build on. It's just getting all of the other.
I'll be honest with you, Pete. Gannon has kind of surprised me a little bit, because I honestly figured your team was just going to roll over completely. But it's good to see that, they obviously want to fight for him. They want to fight for this new regime. So that's really good to see. So, yeah.
Sirianni, when he got to the Eagles, the first couple of games, you guys were playing hard. The wins were not there. But everybody thought that he wasn't going to be a great head coach. And he's so far proven to be a very good head coach.
Don't judge a book so quickly. That's what it is.
I judged him too harshly.
All
you
right.
judged Gannon too harshly.
All right. And just touching on some kind of not football news, but non-NFL news. The IOC is set to vote on flag football potentially being in the 2028 Summer Games. Okay. That would be really interesting.
Yep. No, I think Summer Games is almost like a little bit of a gateway to opening the sport to more sort of eyes nation globally as well. Plus, it allows other nations to get involved that wouldn't perhaps.
Do you know who's the reigning champions?
Who?
In the World Games, the reigning champions of flag football is not the United States. It's Mexico.
Mexico. Okay. Yeah. But that's exactly the point. It's getting other nations involved. Whether you're from the Middle East or whether you're from the Pacific, there's going to be options there. Everyone can field a team. It's accessible. You don't need the helmets or the pads, but all you need is a football, a pair of shorts, some cleats, and you can play. So
that's the beauty of flag football, and it's why the NFL actually has been pushing it so much across the world, because it's a great gateway into the actual sport. Okay, now we've got to talk about some of those beautiful Week 5 matchups that have happened and some storylines that have come out of it. So, first of all, drum roll. The London game was the first game, I would say. Now, you guys went to the Packers game last year as well as me.
Yep.
That seemed like a home-ish game, right? It was quite dominated by the Packers, but there were still quite a fair few Giants fans.
Yep.
This game was completely dominated by the Bills in fandom.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, because I wouldn't expect. I mean, if anything, I would expect there to be more Jaguar fans from like the UK and whatnot there. But the Bills,
you can see it. It was blue everywhere on the stands. It was completely blue everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, they're like the third New York team, as some people say.
So I was sat next to a guy from Buffalo.
Yep.
And he was explaining that a lot of the fans in New York, like, the southern half of the state, like towards the New York City, because like the Giants and the Jets are in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Some of them have started to, shift their support of them towards the Bills because
Okay.
they're in New York and they're not in New Jersey, and they look down on New Jersey a little bit. Obviously, not the diehards. You're talking about the casuals.
Talking
But
about the guys that were perhaps on the fence. Yeah.
but when it comes to the Bills in this, so first down, second down, third, it didn't matter what down. The crowd was loud the entire time. And I was talking to someone who was watching the game in the US, and he said, "Oh, how was it?" He asked me how was it, and I said to him, "It was loud." And he goes, "On the TV, it sounded it. It sounded like it was a real game." Like, and that's what we've craved for all these years.
Yeah.
We've craved about having a proper atmosphere. We have the festival. Everyone's in their jerseys. So I was in my Colts jersey. I had some interesting interactions because of it. I met a guy who lived in Indianapolis who was a Bills fan. And he literally said, if you ever come to Indianapolis, I'll try and get you tickets at much less than the price that they normally are. So, like, that wasn't like if I hadn't worn my jersey, I wouldn't have had that interaction with that guy. But it was an incredible, from an atmosphere point of view, it was great. The game was really good. But what my takeaway from this game was, the Bills have got a problem offensively because they were, from a play calling perspective, they were bad, in my opinion. They seemed to handcuff Josh Allen for like 3 quarters, and then only when they started actually throwing the ball nicely was in the final quarter, when they were already over a score down. It just didn't seem to make a lot of sense with their play calling, because every time they were third and long, and they were just dunking it. They were trying to dunk it and try and get it to, and they were just getting 4th down for 4 and out and 3 and out and gone. It just didn't seem to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, so you're saying you feel as though that they should have turned up the heat earlier on in this game, and that would have been the decider. I mean, it is only a 5-point difference, which means that
5-point difference was they were more.
The game was done before that.
Yeah, there were 2 scores down with like 2.5 minutes to go. So the 5-point difference actually flatters them. Right, it doesn't flatter the balance of the game, but it flatters how they performed on offense throughout that game. The defense kept them in it. They did have some big injuries because Matt Milano broke his leg in that game.
Yeah, twice ACL, so that was a big one.
And he is huge for their defense. He is utterly huge. But on the offensive side of the ball for the Jags, so obviously I was sat next to Marcus in this game, and in that first quarter, he called out pretty much everything that was going to happen. Like, he's an offensive guy, he played running back, friend of ours, played running back in the UK, and he said, this guy's free, he's going to get the ball. He got the ball. This guy's free, he's going to get the ball. They were playing off coverage on Christian Kirk. They were giving him 6-7 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
And he was obliterating them.
Yeah, I mean, he's a natural slot that can play a bit outside as well. So if you give him that much cushion, he's laughing. He's literally been playing in a phone booth the majority of his career. If you give him space, he'll take that all day.
And it was him. Sorry, Peter. Peter, you say what you need to say.
No, I was saying that looking at the game, Etienne was a workhorse. Like, he really was, and that touchdown run where he basically closed the game, that touchdown run was clutch, because he and I got to see him in full flow probably for the first, because obviously last year was his first year back from injury, and this year's he's now made that step up. And you know what they say about the way his foot is, the way the anatomy of his foot is that he's allowed to accelerate. He's able to accelerate round corners because of basically the curvature in his foot. Yeah, because his foot is
kind of almost like duck-like, almost. And I saw that on multiple plays where, and I pointed it out to the guy who was sat next to me, and he was like, "I can see this, I understand this because actually, he's getting really quick and he's getting to the outside, and there was nothing that the defense could do about it because they can't accelerate in such a way."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I
So
mean,
yeah, so I mean, the Bills' offense it's sort of like Jekyll and Hyde this season. It's sort of like 1 week they are all world, the next week they are sort of like down. They're not playing to the true strengths of their players. And I understand why Stephon Diggs was frustrated, because when you look at the box score, he had good numbers, but he felt he could have had even more. He felt like the corners were not up, kind of like up to his standard. Like he could have their number, and you can understand why he was frustrated.
And actually, one thing I'll note on Stephon Diggs is going back to the atmosphere thing. Before the start of the game, you know, when the players warm up and then they go down the tunnel, everyone's walk back to the tunnel, and then he was about to go, and then he runs back out, and then gets the entire crowd fired up. Nobody, nobody does this. He saw that there was this huge amount of Buffalo Bills fans, and the team played into it.
Yeah.
That's how the crowd got really rowdy inside this ground.
I think that's huge. And it's only going to motivate teams. Like when they have this kind of reception, they're going to want to come back. They're going to be like, hey, listen, like, can we get, like, forget like an away game? Can we get a game in England? Because we're basically going to sneak a home game if we can secure this. So it only bodes well for the future. One thing I'll say is Travis Etienne, obviously great. One of the few things from the Urban Meyer era that actually panned out well for the team in the long run. Calvin Ridley, you know, it's really good to see how he's meshing into that offense.
He had some clutch plays in that game,
Exactly.
and he's good.
A lot
He's a
of
good
big yardage, and I think he's gonna continue to grow. He's kind of like the forgotten man because obviously, sort of due to his gambling ban last year, a lot of people forget Calvin Ridley is a very good receiver. He was always like second fiddle to Julio, but now it's good to hopefully with the Jaguars he can come into his own. But yeah, you know, congrats to the Jags for sneaking this one. I think
it was frustrating because obviously as a Colts fan we want the Jags to lose because then that helps us in the division. But Jags were the better team on the day. You couldn't begrudge them the victory. Now, the only thing that I'm going to be really intrigued to see, we'll talk about the next London game a little bit later on, but atmosphere-wise is how the Ravens come and bring their guy, because Ravens are normally a well-supported team as well, but I don't know whether they travel as well as the Bills do. Right, okay, now we've got to move on to the game of the week, or what was supposed to be the game of the week, and it turned out to be a complete and utter blowout. Cowboys got absolutely shellacked by the 49ers.
Yep.
Now,
Absolutely.
I did say, now this is not me taking a victory, but I did say that look who have the Cowboys beaten so far. They've beaten the Giants. They've beaten Rodgers-less Jets. Who else did they lost to Peter's Cardinals.
Well, but that one we always have their number though, so we are like
but no, come on. Your record speaks for itself at the moment this season. You're playing hard, but you're not winning games, correct?
Genuinely. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The first time that they come up against somebody really difficult. Granted, they are the best team in the league.
Yep.
They got the butt handed to them on a silver platter. Please don't do this to me again.
Well, take it away.
Yeah, no. I've been waiting for this all evening, all over the weekend. The Dallas Cowboys are the biggest pretenders in the league. They're delusional, just like their fans. The reality is, I think I had this really good acronym example. Essentially, they're the big bully on the block.
Discretion. This is Eagles bias, by the way.
Eagles bias,
Everybody
but
needs to know.
it's what everyone is seeing. They are the big bully on the block that picks on the kids weaker than them. And then suddenly, when you go up against the kid that hits back, they fold. That's literally their MO. They're acting as though they're a big team, but they're 3-2. That's their record. You know what I mean? They're acting like they're an undefeated team. They're 3-2 right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Like, I think they're being exposed. There's a lot of tension going on over there because Dak Prescott, I think I recall him saying, what, 10
He was
10
bad
INTs.
in this.
His goal is not to throw a lot of interceptions, but he's halfway there already. He's halfway there already. You know what I mean? So it's literally he threw 3 INTs this game. You know, so this is added up to 4, I think, right now on the season, I believe, and we're not even in the bye. So we've got a lot of football left, and he's halfway there. Dak Prescott needs to be held accountable now because he's underperforming. Now, last time I checked, they've got a young buck over there called Trey Lance. And I guarantee you, if Dak,
are you calling for Trey Lance? There's no way, man.
all I'm saying,
no
no,
way.
Exactly.
Listen, if Dak has a few more stinkers, 2 more stinkers, they'll pull him and they'll just see what Trey can do.
But they put Cooper Rush in. They even put Cooper Rush in this game, so it's not even going to be Trey. Trey's number 3.
Either way, they weren't able to run the ball on the ground. They weren't able to do much in the air. And with Dak turning over the football against the 49ers, who I'll admit right now are the best team in football because they're a well-oiled machine. They just do everything well. Defense, top 2. They've got offensive weapons. They've got a quarterback that doesn't make mistakes. Brock Purdy right now,
He looked good.
We need to stop looking at him as a game manager. Because I think he's shown coming off an injury. I mean, granted, it sort of was a finger injury, nothing on the shoulder.
It was the elbow.
It was the elbow, right? It was the elbow. So that throwing motion, coming off that to play the way he's playing, 4 touchdowns, 252 yards, no mistakes, no errors. He can make hard throws. He can play outside of the pocket. He's more mobile than you think. You know, Brock Purdy right now, people have been ignoring him, saying he's just along for the ride. But I think, like there were issues like if Brock Purdy's struggles, we might see Sam Darnold. That ain't happening. That's been put to rest right now. Brock Purdy is the 49ers QB, and I think he knows if all he's got to do is look after the football, they can run the ball at will, they can pass the ball at will. They're not going to make mistakes. They are such a hard team to beat, and it showed. 42 points.
Now,
Dan Quinn defense.
Do you know the insane thing about this game is, though? CMC, he had 51 yards and 19 carries. And he fumbled the ball. The fumble was a weird fumble because because he rolled on top of a player, the ball came out while he was on top of the player.
Yeah. So he wasn't going anywhere, but because he was still
on the 1 yard line.
On the 1 yard line. He was off the ground, but the ball came out even though he was down on another player's body.
Yeah.
So it's one of those I mean, I'm just looking at these stat lines. Purdy is spreading the ball around. Like
Kittle had himself a game.
Yep.
Hey, he had a career day, most touchdown receptions in his career. He had 3 in the end. But they're spreading it out. Hey, Carl Juszczyk had 4 catches in this game.
So here's the thing. So in terms of Brock Purdy, it seems like 49ers have locked into having their guy a quarterback. They locked into it because we need to put this into perspective now. When you take a guy in the 7th round, right? You are not expecting the guy to become your star. When it pans out, you can claim all the credit in the world. Yep. But when it works, you gotta give credit to also the system that you put around him. Because let's put this in perspective. Brock Purdy is not doing what he's doing the 49ers if he is on a team like the Raiders, the Commanders.
Or the Bears.
Bears, Commanders,
The
Raiders.
Bears
How?
might be able to. The Bears actually have
No.
weapons. They have weapons.
No.
I'm talking about a team that don't have like the Panthers, for instance, right?
I would say
Their
the
wide receivers
Panthers. I
can get
wouldn't say
separation.
I wouldn't say the Commanders because they've got Scary
Okay, let's
Terry
say
and Jahan
let's say the
Dotson. Yeah.
Panthers, right? He ain't doing that because his wide receivers are not like that. Their running game is not like that, right?
Mm.
So to me, he's in a perfect system. Most likely the 49ers have a great chance of making a Super Bowl, and probably they're Super Bowl favorites right now, and they might end up winning the Super Bowl, which would be a great service to his system, to his start of his career. For me, my barometer is that we've seen this so too often in the NFL. Last year he was great. He's great. He's proving to be a great player right now. Let's wait till the end of the year. Let's see if we can do it. For my barometer is like, can you do it for 2 years in a row? Can you be the guy for, I kind of want some level of consistency. He's shown that he can have that consistency. He's a reason why they traded Trey Lance away. So now the point is, can he do it this season? Can he do it next season?
Do you know what I really like about Purdy though? He seems to be so grounded.
Yeah. He's
from a mentality perspective. From a mentality perspective,
absolutely
5 years starting in college.
No, because if you think about it, the lifestyle that he's currently living is still a college lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
he has a housemate.
Okay.
He has a house. He doesn't even live by himself. He has a housemate.
A lot of 6th-round pick and 7th-round picks do have housemates because you ain't getting paid enough.
Get paid
correct.
Yeah.
But that's
let's
the thing.
see. Okay, so
from a mentality,
I like that.
From the mentality perspective, him getting thrust into the limelight, he's not getting ahead of himself. And it doesn't like it's that grounding that just keeps him like on that even kill. He's gonna get paid at some point.
Yep, he knows it.
Okay, but I gotta say though, here's a warning to some of the people that are starting to put the Brady thing on him. Like, wait. Let's see. Can he win 2 Super Bowls? 3? I know Skip Bayless said it earlier this week in the national media that
Brady-esque.
Brady is like Brady-esque. No, we need to stop doing that. Let's wait because as good as Brady came on the scene and won 2 Super Bowls in 3 or 4 seasons with the Patriots. They had a great team then. He played his part and they won the 2 Super Bowls.
I would say is the 49ers, he's got all the tools.
Yeah, exactly. But let him do the thing.
Let him do it. Correct. No, I'm not comparing, but I'm saying he has the tools because
absolutely,
he has the best running back in the league.
Yep.
He has an elite wide receiver in Debo, who isn't even the wide receiver 1. At the moment, because Brandon Ayuk is taking over that mantle.
Yeah, as a pure wideout. Yeah,
I'll say he has a nice group. I don't think Ayuk is in the top 5 yet.
No. I don't think I'm saying that Debo is elite, but he is not used. He's not number 1 in the system, right? And then he has a top level tight end who is very good in the passing game and elite in the run blocking.
Yeah, he's probably him and Kelsey is like 1A, 1B, or literally the same.
And then
except Kittle's more total than
that 49ers defense.
And then you've got Kyle. I'm not gonna underestimate this guy's importance to this offense. Kyle Juszczyk is extremely important to this offense.
Absolutely. Pass
blocking, run blocking, and even catching the ball on the odd play. He is very critical to this offense, and there's a reason why he's a fullback. And still, there are not many fullbacks going across all the teams. So, and he's really important to that team, and then obviously the defense. That defense just lights up.
Maybe that's their secret sauce. How many teams are game planning for a dead position that doesn't exist? So if you think about it, fullbacks are too big and powerful to be pure runners. All right, and they've got a little bit more wiggle than they can keep up with linebackers, so they can put bodies on linebackers. So It's almost
Hey,
as
hey,
though
hey,
it's a
hey.
position group that
No,
like
respect
you just
fullbacks.
don't think.
Listen,
I am respecting
Peyton Hillis
fullbacks.
had 1,500 yards as a fullback around the
Yeah,
football
but
pitch. You
if
got to
Peyton
put some
Ellis
respect on
was
Peyton
around
Hillis's
now,
name.
if Peyton Ellis
Okay,
was around
Peyton
now,
Hillis
he's
did
the
it for the
fullback.
fullbacks. He proved we can run the ball too.
He can run
Peyton
the ball.
Hillis did it.
But if you
He
think about
showed
it,
it.
it
They
allows
just
for
weren't
unique
willing to
formations.
commit to him because
Yeah,
he broke the mold.
it allows for unique formations, and I think that could be their secret sauce. Like I said, you can't account for this person that can block like an offensive lineman slash a tight end.
What about Mike
That can also be a
Allstott?
weapon.
Allstott up the gut
Hey,
for the
this
Buccaneers
is
back in
literally
the
a
day.
different era. This is a different era altogether. I mean, back then they
All
had
right,
He
I'm
did
gonna.
it too.
Lorenzo Neal. You had guys all over the place. You don't have those
All
now,
right, all
guys.
right,
Now.
all right. Now we're gonna
Okay.
move on.
Before we move on, one last word I gotta say. This is a message from Michael Parsons. Okay, so I just hope that he comes across our podcast one of these days because he seems to be on podcast a lot. As an NFL fan, just a lot of advice. He might listen or not. Michael, please, no podcast. Zip it and play the game. Don't talk. Play the game.
No,
Let your
no,
numbers
no,
make them do the
no,
talking,
no.
Michael. We need
I
because
like.
so far we're seeing a lot of talk and less action. Because when
I
you play in
don't
a team
think
like the
this was him.
49ers, I'm just saying in that game, where was Michael Parsons? Because if
This
we're
is
gonna
a
compare Select LT, we need to see those performances. These are the type of games that
this was
legends
so.
decide in the second half. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go out there and I'm gonna get the sacks. I'm gonna get the pressures. I'm gonna try and influence the game somehow.
TJ
You
Watt,
are not gonna stop me.
you've got to be a TJ
TJ
Watt.
Watt,
Because
JJ
our team
Watt,
Now,
loses, our
Aaron
partner
Donald.
has a spectacular
When you
performance.
are that type of, if you want to be that type of defensive player, legendary, these are the sort of games that you, even if your team lost, let your presence be felt somehow
do you
in the
know?
game.
So do you know he was against Trent in this game, wasn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
Now
There you
that
go.
was an all-star battle
Best left
that
tackle
they.
in the league.
Yeah, that's an all-star battle that they had. All right,
He's a bit
we're
too
gonna.
young for Trent. Trent's
All
like,
right.
listen, you're still a pup.
Hey, Deki did it when he played the 49ers. He got a sack.
All right, now let's get moving on. Revenge games. There were a couple of revenge games, and the big one was the Jets managed. So Nathaniel Hackett, offensive coordinator for the Jets, they managed to get the victory over the Broncos,
Ooh.
and this is with Messer in Chief Zach Wilson. There now, what do you boys think of this? Because I when I was watching this game, I wasn't immediately thought about, okay, yeah, Hackett was going up against the team that fired him. Now,
So I saw this game. Brees Hall no longer on a pitch count. If you
mhm.
seem to remember last season, a lot of people were saying before he got injured, he was a lock for offensive rookie of the year. He just showed, like, now that he's 100% back, they can lean on him. It was a spectacular performance from
That
22 carries,
72
107.
yard.
Yeah. Oof. The kid can play. This is exactly what you want to see. You want to be able to lean on the run. The Denver defense right now is not playing well, so let's not like overreact. If anything, they should have won this game by a larger margin, but a win's a win. You know, I think they won this game for Hackett. You saw on the sideline, the whole team came around him and was like, after everything Sean Payton had said, this is the team he's putting out. So like I said, I'm happy for the Jets. You know, they were able to get the ball moving on the ground. In the air, nothing crazy to write home about, but it was all about the ground game. You know, so
Both sides. It was all
both
about the
sides
ground
of the
game.
ball. Yeah,
Both
both sides.
teams, because Brees Hall was on the ground. Jaleel McLaughlin,
Yeah,
he
bit
was
of a
good in this
speedster.
game. Did you see that play of his where he kind of like dipped it up to himself?
Yeah.
And then took it to the touchdown.
Yeah, no, he played really well. You know, 9 carries for I
68
believe it went
yards.
68 yards. That's really good, especially from a name we're not necessarily used to hearing. Russell Wilson had like another serviceable game. Like, I think he's kind of showing right now that he can kind of like hold his own, and he wasn't really the issue. They've
Well, the
got
issue, they've
other
fumbled the ball
glaring
3 times
issues.
on offense.
Yep, yeah, but it's good to see he's not perhaps taking the blame. Would you say they're in tank mode, Denver? 1-4 right
Um,
now.
They're
well,
not making the playoffs, so
They're not making the
well,
playoffs yet.
I think they are because the reports that came
What?
out earlier
you
after
think they're making the
You
playoffs?
think they're making the playoffs? Wild
No, I
card.
meant in response to the tank. That's why I said it's for the tank, not the playoffs. Come
I was
on
like,
now.
get him off the podcast.
Hey, stranger things have happened in the NFL, so you never know. I'm firmly in the tank
Hey,
camp. What I'm saying is that because they're tanking, because after the game yesterday, I saw reports coming out that they are now in the process whereby they're willing to trade anybody on the defense side of the ball. Like, Simmons, some of their marquee players, they've already traded Randy Gregory, who they signed to a big deal, like a big free agent deal. I don't know whether it was this summer or last summer, who they've decided to trade him away. And they've already traded him to, what did they trade Randy Gregory to? Was it the Falcons?
let me find out. Yeah, Randy Gregory.
They just traded him recently away. And
It's
apparently,
49ers. It's gone to 49ers.
Gone to 49ers.
yeah, which is more firepower for the 49ers in the rotational pass rush department.
I think it's just
So,
rotation. Yeah.
yeah, but he can give you great value coming in and getting, even if he gets 5, 6 sacks, that contributes to their sack totals in key moments. And I think the way it's going, I don't know what the issue is, because we thought Sean Payton was meant to be, this savior coming in and all that kind of stuff. And now the consensus now was the issues more to do with Russ than Nathaniel Hackett, because with the Jets, they've been able to pull off this victory with him calling the plays.
Do you know what?
And when you look at it, Zach Wilson's totals and Russell Wilson's totals in terms of how they play the game are very similar. They're both kind of like
One got touchdowns and one didn't. That was
two
the only
touchdowns
difference.
and one didn't. But if you look at the yards and how they play the games, it was almost kind of like very similar. So you're looking at it and you're like, is Russ the problem here though? I mean, that's the question here. What do you think, Will?
Do you know what I would say? So I don't know what's happened to Cortland Sutton.
Yep.
He seems to be anonymous in this offense.
Well, Vance Joseph didn't draft him. He played under what was it, Fox's system, I believe.
It's just like he got targeted 3 times in this game out of 31 attempts. Yeah, Judy's the number 1 target, but the number 2 target, was the running backs or Adam Troutman at tight end. And Troutman's not exactly a marquee player at tight end. Cortland Sutton, you'd expect him to get more looks his way, but it just seems to be that there's a dearth. Or he seems to be inconsistent with him.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people. I mean, I've heard rumors that Jerry Jeudy might be on the trade block potentially, because he's a young receiver. A lot of people said he was highly touted. He just hasn't. He's just struggled to stay healthy. Either way, I think it's going to be like a yard sale. And Denver aren't the only team that's going to be on a yard sale, and I think we'll talk about that later on as well. But yeah, overall performance, I think no one is surprised with the Jets winning this game, which says a lot about what we think of Denver's defense. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy for the Jets. For Denver, I'm just glad my man Russ is obviously keeping some semblance of respect.
There is some semblance of respect, but
on the field, I'll say.
But moving on to last night's game. It's not quite a revenge game, but Devontae Adams played against the Packers for the first time, and they won. Now, he wasn't really the main receiver in this game. He didn't get a lot of looks, but it was a putrid affair, I would say, actually, in this game, because it wasn't fun to watch. Jordan Love looked atrocious. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't look that much better.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs, they really can't get the run game going at all. the star of this game probably was Jacoby Myers because he managed to get some good looks his way and he was beating the coverage. But Packers, I'm gonna the question I'm gonna ask is: we saw glimpses of good play from Jordan Love a few weeks ago, but we haven't seen much since.
No, I think this is just growing pains. I'm not gonna say like he's done because you never know. Like he needs playing time. He's gonna need a season under his belt. Remember, this is literally gonna be his first full season. Be behind center, taking all the first team reps and playing out throughout the year, really trying to execute that offense. So this is fine. This is part of the growing process. He's been there for a while now, but this is essentially his rookie campaign as far as being the main starter on offense. So, you expect this. All you want to see is him looking after the ball, which is not what he did this game with 3 INTs.
But do you know what saved the game for the Raiders? Christian Watson, on his 77-yard reception, was brought down by a horse collar tackle.
Yeah, that could have easily been. I think that was going to go.
It was going for a touchdown.
Yeah. Yep, so that brought it back. And I mean...
No. It wasn't. It didn't bring it back. He had a 77-yard reception. It was going for a touchdown.
Yeah.
They kicked a field goal on that drive.
Did they call the horse collar, though?
They called the horse collar.
Yeah.
They still didn't punch it in.
Well, that's on the offense.
That saved the game. That saved the game for the Raiders. They only won by 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it saved the game, but then I put it on the Packers for not being able to score a touchdown in that moment. That would have probably given them a better chance of winning the game. But when I look at it, like we'll say, it is growing pains for Jordan Love, but this is by far the worst game he's ever played. 3 INTs, less than 200 yards passing is certainly not.
And one of those INTs, I was sat next to my brother watching the game, and we're like,
what?
Who's he throwing? Like, we know who's throwing to, but he's throwing into
I remember that
coverage.
one. He threw it straight to the. It's almost like he threw it straight to the linebacker in there. So it's one of those ones. So I think these are growing pains, and the ups and downs are expected for this year. So I think next year is when they really get to decide if they can make a decision on Jordan Love. But in saying that, does he have one more year before they decide to pick up his option, or this is it before they?
No, I think they've invested in
have
him.
to decide
Green
to
Bay,
pick his option.
I'd say Green Bay aren't going to be so bad unless they want to trade up and try and sneak up.
No, this is his fourth season.
So the option comes after this season, then I guess.
Was he a first overall? Was he in the first round?
No, he was picked in the first round. So all first rounders get their
okay. Yeah.
option.
They'll pick up his option. But Green Bay may have lost this game.
It's a case of have they already picked it up, because they normally pick it up before the season starts. They haven't, so they have to negotiate a contract, and they haven't.
Yeah, I was going to say Green Bay may have lost this game, but considering
the interceptions
and their overall performance, it just goes to show how bad the Raiders are. The margin should have been way larger.
So in May 23, he signed a 1-year maximum $22.5 million contract extension, which preempted the initial 5th-year option from his rookie deal. So he's contracted through next season.
Okay, all right, but
they did it in a roundabout way.
But this speaks to the credit of Jordan Love's his humbleness and his willingness to work with the team, because he hasn't played much, and in a way it makes sense for both parties, because you get an extension a year. And it wouldn't be fair for the Green Bay to pick up your option and pay you so much money.
So the only thing I would say about the play calling yesterday, again, the play calling for the Packers is really bad at the moment. It's really bad. They weren't playing to the strengths of this was again what I saw with the Bills. They weren't playing to the strengths of their players.
But then, do you think it's also because of the injury to Aaron Jones? Do you think the offense was built around Aaron Jones and what he could do? And when I say the offense built around him necessarily, so sometimes we often think it's just about him running and receiving the ball. But there are certain places where players can act as decoys that open up the field for their quarterbacks. So could that be the situation here?
So what I saw was they were afraid to throw the ball deep. They were afraid to do it and they were against backups of backups in the defensive backfield. Raiders are depleted in numbers in the backfield, and I don't understand what they were doing from a play calling perspective from the Packers. It just didn't seem to make a lot of sense. They opened it up at the end. What happens? Oh, Christian Watson gets 3 deep. Just it beggars belief at times. But they did have some problems facing Max Crosby. Crosby was a menace in this game. He's a menace at times. We know that, and he was a menace in this game. And hey, it's not often that Bob Spillane gets 2 interceptions, does he? Because he's not that kind of linebacker, from my knowledge. But we will now move on to the Minnesota Vikings. Are they going to be having a massive fire sale? Because I don't see them making the playoffs. I don't see them being near the playoffs. Justin Jefferson is now on a 4-week injury minimum. Their running game really isn't working. Is the season over?
I think the Kirk Cousins era has been long overdue to end. I think a lot of people have been waiting for it. They've got a young head coach.
I don't think it's his fault. The way it's ending.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not, but you've kind of ran it. It's ran its course. You know, they've seen what he can do. They were able to build a really good team. Back in the Zimmerman years, they had like a really good roster. And they still weren't able to get over the hump. You know, they've actually been blessed with like a fairly young unit now that can play with some playmakers. They obviously just got rid of Dalvin Cook and they've realized Madison's not it. I mean, anyone could have told you that. But
he was Cook light. He was Cook light.
Yeah, Cook light.
You could see that.
Yeah, but I think they've got like a young head coach that's doing fairly well early on. But I think right now he's saying, look, we need to move on. I need to go get me a QB. Caleb Williams has been noted saying the Vikings is one of the teams he will play for. He is more than willing to play for. Chicago's looking like it might have 2 first-round picks within the first 5, so they're going to be willing to trade some pieces. I think if
they're not trading, listen, if Chicago gets the number 1 pick again, Justin Fields is getting traded. Because they don't get in a 1 pick twice in a row.
No. That is a take. That is a take now.
No. But hold on a second. Let me finish what I'm saying. You don't get the number 1 pick twice in a row and pass on potential franchise quarterbacks twice in a row. No team ever does that in this league. They might do it once, but they're not doing it again. Because Justin Fields will be, if they get number 1 pick, even if it's from the pick that they own from the Panthers, they might take Caleb Williams and see if they can get another first back for Justin Fields. The only way is if their own pick is not a top 5 pick, and they have the 1 overall pick, and they have a sort of like close to a winning record. Either they finish 8-9 or 9-8, and then maybe that's the only way Justin Fields gets to save the job. 7 wins ain't keeping Justin Fields in Chicago.
It's a hard one. I mean, even though it's not the team we're talking about, Chicago is a unique situation because their staff are playing to keep their jobs, but yet at the same time they actually maybe they do want to tank. So it's kind of we're gonna
talk about Chicago in a little bit. We've got a segment.
Okay, so with the Vikings, right? My take is this. I mean,
okay, who's the trade target for? Is he even going to trade Cousins away? Who are you going to trade? Who are you going to?
I don't think they're going to trade him away because I'm looking at.
Do you think they could trade him away? Do you think they could trade him away? Try.
They would if a team feels like they're quarterback away, and I don't know what team right now feels like they're quarterback away.
I know there's a team that's a quarterback away who could use him until the end of the season only.
But they're not going to trade for him, though.
Correct. Because they're all in on their young guy who is showing some signs of
not only that, but it seems like it seems like they're moving us in a way of if Rodgers come back this season or next season, Rodgers is going to be our unquestioned starter. And if I'm Kirk Cousins is also thinking, why would I going to go play for the Jets for half a season and then be looking for a team in the off season? I want security with that trade.
Yeah,
I'm not
he's
going to
got
go
family.
jeopardize my future like
Yeah,
that.
he's
I'd
got
rather
family.
play the whole season in Minnesota and then be a free agent and then
I
be
think
able
the
to
issue
sign
is
with a
that
team.
playbooks and everything and all that jazz, and it's not easy to. It's not particularly for a franchise guy to come in and have a system and install that. It's not going to work.
If anything, I think if he's going to go somewhere, it's going to be somewhere where the Vikings offensive personnel. So if they have like an OC that was at the Vikings over in another team, or if they have like a QB
There has to
coach
be some
that was from the
similarity.
Vikings,
Yeah.
he'll most likely go there because he can come in, he understands the system to some degree, and he can come in and instantly contribute. It's not going to be him going to like Josh McDaniels and starting from scratch over there. That's not going to happen. Just as an example.
The way
I
I
wouldn't
see
even
it,
wish that on him.
the way I see it, my advice for Minnesota is at this point, you're 1-4. I'm not a big fan of teams tanking, but their roster is not that bad, right?
Yep.
So tanking could actually be in their best interest because then you can still keep your core pieces in terms of Justin Jefferson, the excellent wide receiver core that they have, get a really good back in the offseason, and add Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams coming into a situation whereby he actually has weapons and can be very productive as a rookie in the league. Quote unquote, you're going to the worst team in the league, but the worst team in the league actually has pieces and some sort of weapons to help him in that instance. But then also the dark side of me want Caleb to go to a team like the Chicago Bears or someone like the Raiders or the Broncos where they're very depleted. The reason why I say that because of the arrogance that he had earlier saying that I can choose what team I want to go to. No, you can't. This is the NFL.
Pete, you were supporting this a while back. You were saying,
no.
I'm all for
This is the NFL. No, I'm not all for it because this is the NFL. You go to where they want, where the team.
So you don't want him to pull an
team.
Eli, right?
I value more.
I actually don't want to do that because here's the thing. I put a lot of credence, right?
But just imagine the memes. Come on, the memes.
Bro, I'm talking about your coach here. That's why I rate Peyton Manning as my GOAT QB because he went to the absolute worst team he could go to, and he made them a premium franchise.
Yeah,
nowadays, a lot of
that's a good
because Elway didn't want to go to the Colts. I remember. Well, no, I don't remember. Actually, but
he as well. He didn't want to play for the Colts, and I'm like, why not?
I don't want bad management, bad back offices being rewarded for failure. Don't get me wrong, it's going to happen. If your team plays bad, fine. But here's the thing. I want people to realize that Chicago Bears have done such a botched job these past 3 QBs.
No. Wait. They have done such a botched job for their franchise history.
Yeah. Overall for the franchise history. I want it to be a case of,
what? They were pretty good in the early 2000s with their defense. So
this guy could have saved your team, but even he chooses not to play for you to the point where he goes back to school. That sends a loud and clear message to the fans. Imagine being in the ownership for that team, and a kid says, "I don't want to play. I could go league, but I'm not going to go because these guys are going to draft me. Forget it. I'm going back to school." Do you know how that? Go, yeah. Just go, but look, you always run.
Do you want to be a Barkley?
Caleb is not Matt
Barkley.
That's exactly what everyone says.
Caleb is not. Do you want to be Matt Barkley? Do you want to be Matt Leonard?
He's not.
Do you want to go? Listen, look at the history. Quarterbacks that go back to school do not become the one overall pick the next year. They don't because somebody else is gonna take that spot.
He ain't going to Chicago, man. Nah.
What do you have against the Bears? Like, what did they ever do to you?
Okay, so bring this back to the Vikings. What I will say, last year they won a lot of one-score games.
Yep.
This year, they're losing a lot of one-score games.
So the luck is not really panning out for them this year. Because you're
It's not
right.
just
Because
luck,
when I
but it's like
when I
it's
look at
just
Keck's numbers,
That's true.
Keck's numbers shows a winning quarterback, like 13 touchdowns, 4 INTs. It's like it's not his fault that they're 1-4. He has actually played very well.
no. Do you know whose
But
fault
they're
it
one
is?
and four.
So my fantasy team in one of my leagues is called the Minnesota Fumble Kings.
It's your fault, Dilly.
No, this was after
Why,
this was after the fact.
why you gonna call them fumble kings, man?
Because they are the kings of fumbling the ball this year. It's a pandemic within their team. It is like the amount of fumbling is
that's true.
Just obscene.
The turnovers has been ridiculous. They are the highest teams in terms of turnovers, and the old adage in football is that if you turn the ball over, or if you lose a turnover battle,
they've got more
you're most
turnovers.
likely gonna lose the game.
They got more turnovers than a bloody bakery.
But I mean, the Vikings are at that point now where, I mean, that's a really good point, Dilly. Like, if you look at them like last year, a lot of those games, I mean, they could have lost them just as easily as they scraped through with a win. So they could have been
So
as
what
bad
are
as
we
they are now
saying?
last year.
I mean,
they're scraping
Is it the law of averages coming back? Because you're not always going to win one-score games.
Yeah.
So
you've got to make it a little bit more.
They're an average middle of the road team that was lucky
does
last
that
year.
prove are they
They're not as good as they think they are.
Are they a good team, or they're not really a good team? It's just that they can battle you, and then hopefully if it goes their way, they'll win.
Decent. They're a decent team. They're not. They can be good and bad.
They're not a great
in the
team,
same
they're
game.
just a decent team.
They could be good and bad, but just they happen to be good and bad in the same game.
I mean, okay,
they're the Cowboys without the hype. That's basically what they are.
But all the record.
All right.
The Cowboys without the hype.
So let's put things into perspective a little bit, just to wrap this up. Like, so their next 4 games round, I just ask you guys this: they're playing Bears, 49ers, Packers, and Falcons. How many wins are they gonna get out of these next 4 games before Justin Jefferson?
Okay, so there's no JJ. If they don't, so they don't have him, so that hamstring injury, they still could win 3 of those 4 games.
Which 3 are likely wins?
They can't be the 49ers. They just can't be the 49ers. That's not happening.
No.
But that's true. They're not beating the 49ers. I say this now, and they'll lose and they'll win. But I say
that's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen, right? Okay. So they're capable of beating the Bears. Bears defense turned up, particularly against the Commanders last week.
Why did the Bears have turned a corner? You never know.
We're going to talk about them a little bit later on as well. So, not quite perfect segue, but advanced segue. And then Packers, I don't know, because the Packers just don't seem to be playing well on multiple sides of the ball. What was the other game?
Falcons
blow hot and blow cold.
Yeah.
They're a very weird team. They're a very weird team. I don't know what to think.
See, the Falcons, right? Now, they're a team that, let's say week 8, right, is the trade deadline around week 8. And let's say Minnesota is open to trading. But here's the thing, though. When I look at the Falcons team, they've got everything that can cook with that. You got your Pitts will be a great beneficiary in that scenario. Cousins to Pitts, Greg London, Bijan Robinson. No, but you're not trading a first for Kirk at this age. You're trading most likely a 3rd rounder or a 2nd rounder.
Yeah, but the Vikings will just try and push a narrative that he's a starting quarterback. We want
Cousins is not a 1st round pick quarterback. No, there's no way he is. He ain't going for a 1st round pick.
You'd be surprised.
Especially with the level of contract that's left on the table. All right. now we've got to move on to. I've got to ask this question, Peter. You're gonna be horrified by it. Is Bill Belichick's time in New England numbered?
Well, it's certainly looking that way.
And I'll pretense it with this. So in week 4, Bill Belichick had the worst loss in his career. And they followed that up in week 5 by him having the worst loss in his NFL career. Back to back, they've been absolutely had their butts handed to them. And this time, they were begging for mercy.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, it's looking like so 1 second. Well, that it's heading that way unless they can manufacture some sort of wins, and it's not looking good for them right now. And I don't know. It's not a case of how long is Robert Kraft going to be patient, but Bill Belichick to get this right. But I would say the injury to Christian Gonzalez has been a big factor in them having these blowout losses, because before these 2 heavy defeats back to back, if you look at their other first 3 games, they could have easily won 2 of those because they played those games very competitively and very close. So I think the loss of that rookie cornerback has been a big blow to Belichick's plans, because Belichick's defense is built from the secondary. Once he gets elite corners, good to elite corners, good to elite safeties, he's able to then craft really good defenses, even though the front 7 doesn't have elite talent in it.
Well, it does normally because they've got Matt Judon, but Judon wasn't in this game.
Oh.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, once Belichick has like that cornerback, it really helps him craft the defense, because he loves to have an elite corner. And it looks like he had one in Christian Gonzalez, who unfortunately had that injury. So, I mean, it's looking peak out here for Bill to ride this at the moment.
Yeah, I was driving home from work today, and I asked myself this question, because sometimes I listen to the radio, like, Bill Belichick, if we forget the name, change the face, complete just the coach, does he still have his job?
He has his job. Well, but at the end of the season,
if we get rid of all the cachet, do you think is he on the hot seat? If it was just without the cachet, without Brady, we're talking.
Oh, he's
got the job as soon as Brady left. From Brady's departure until now, brand new head coach, no cachet. I don't know, call him Bill Blanks, whatever. Is he still the head coach?
No, he's not.
No, he's not.
He's
okay,
gone.
so I think something in New England has to change. Bill Belichick's also the GM. They need to go in a different direction here. He has complete control of that organization, and maybe he needs to go back to what he does best, which is coaching. Like, it's been noted that in terms of a defensive mind,
he's always been a GM.
He's always
that's the thing. He's always been a GM.
But something has to change.
But
but he's okay. But here's what makes you're requesting very difficult for an owner like Robert Kraft. This man came to your organization 23, 24 years ago, right?
Yep.
And he built an organization, being a GM and a head coach, and won you 6 Super Bowls
on Brady's shoulders.
No, but you see, this is why sometimes as a defensive guy, I get upset when people talk like that.
No, I'm not saying
you guys talk about on the shoulders of Brady, but what about the defenses that Brady had that enabled him to do that? Who crafted those defenses?
I'm not saying that, but all I'm saying
who shut down the Falcons in the Super Bowl for Brady to have a comeback?
Yeah, I get it.
They didn't score a single point in the second half. Which defense?
I get it. I respect his defensive acumen. But what's struggling right now?
Without a defense, would he have done it? That's the question.
Peter,
is you've got him before he had Brady. He was struggling. When Brady leaves, he starts struggling again. So all I'm saying is that
name me a team apart from the Ravens defense and the Buccaneers defense that did it for 1 year, that has been a dynasty without having a good to elite quarterback. Name me a team. There's none. There's none in NFL history.
Every team needs a QB and a defense.
Exactly. So what are we talking about here?
All I'm saying.
They don't have it. They don't have a They don't have a QB.
Like, unfortunately,
exactly. They don't have the QB now. Do they?
He's a victim of his own success. He's a victim of his own success because this is what New England fans have been used to for eras. Not one era. We're talking like 2 eras.
All right, like, I'm gonna draw an analogy because Peter, being the Arsenal fan that he is, are we in the Wenger end of kind of like the end of towards Wenger's era?
But messy.
But do you know what? Messi's in the US.
But that's actually a very good analogy. That's why it sounds like for the Patriots.
Actually, I wouldn't even say it. I think it's worse. And the reason why I say this, Arsenal. Okay, we're talking about for sports here. Arsenal had some success at the end of Wenger's era. There's absolutely none.
The FA Cups.
The FA, but they were still at the top, towards the top of the league, right?
Yeah, I mean they were still considered amongst the top 6 teams.
Top 4. They were in the top 40. They were Champions League.
Yeah,
right. There's nothing. There's no glimmer of hope for the Patriots.
Bro, I'm looking at this stat sheet. Pete, there's not a single weapon on offense that went for over 10 yards. The highest is Ezekiel Elliott receiving.
Well, no, Kendrick
Bourne, 43 yards. 2 receptions. Like, this is abysmal. You give that big contract to Juju. Something's going on. You pay him big money. What is he doing? Ezekiel Elliott's there. It seems like he's just grabbing. Like, he's saying, I need some weapons. Let me grab this guy. Let me grab Zeke Elliott. Let me get Juju Smith. No one wants to pay him. He go and pay Juju and he's doing nothing. He's just collecting checks ready for retirement.
I understand all of that. But what I'm saying is, even if Bill's past it now, let's say his coaching ideas don't work anymore. Let's say he's not in tune with the current pace of the NFL game or whatever it is, right? I understand that. But what cannot be debated is his legacy as a coach, is what he's done in the history of the game. We can't debate that.
I'm not questioning his legacy.
Like I say, like I have pointed out, is
it's the here and now.
We thought a new offensive coordinator will help fix the issues that because Mac Jones in his first year was nowhere near as bad as what's going on right now, right?
Regressed last year.
He regressed last year because of
we had
the lack of coaching. Exactly. But now he's got an OC, but he just doesn't have a weapon.
Matt Patricia damaged him too much, so now
he's basically got he's having to basically say, look, forget everything you've learned. This is all a mess.
If you look at this offense, right? Juju is supposed to be the one, but he is basically now known as just that guy off TikTok.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Devontae Parker
never was the same.
I've not seen much from him. Kendrick Bourne seems to be the main receiving option, and Hunter Henry was expected to be a very good guy. They had been targeting him a lot. They've been targeting him a lot at tight end, but this game there was nothing. 2 targets, no receptions.
Yeah, he should have never left the Chargers, man. Even now, I think he took the money, but like I said, he got his check. But I think even now, the Chargers might make a call. I wouldn't be surprised if they get Hunter Henry back in there.
You don't tend to go full circle very easily. Jesse Jackson may have done it, but offensive guys, they tend to not want it as much. It it's really, really ugly at the moment for New England, and I don't see it getting much better anytime soon. All right.
Imagine if they pull out another game like this. Imagine if they get another 3-game stinker this year.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
It's
someone's got to something's got to change.
something does have to change, but to be honest, I've seen enough Patriots glee for a lifetime, so they can continue to
They
suck.
can suffer. Yep.
Yeah, they can
Next
suffer.
next
Unfortunately, that's
Imagine
my
if it's a half
cold.
century.
That's my
Dead.
cold bias coming through. All right,
Dead league
Chicago.
members.
Right, we've held off on our Chicago talk for long enough. They let Justin Fields loose in this game. My baller of the week comes out of this game. I'll say a bit later on. But Will, you've had a lot of opinions on Chicago. Your thoughts on their performance, because it wasn't just the offense that played well. Defense turned up.
Yeah, no, I mean, Matt Eberflus, when you're the head coach of your team and you're a defensive coordinator, the defense has to be right. You need to make it sure that when it comes to the defense, you're playing lights out and you're taking care of your side of the ball. This was don't get me wrong, if they were losing games, but it was low scoring, then at least we know Matt Eberflus is doing his job. So it's good to see that now. Like, we're starting to see an improvement on the defensive side of the ball. But I think that's a result of how Justin Fields is playing. I remember early on in the podcast this season, I did state that they're going to get to 0-4, and then they're all just going to let Justin Fields play his brand of football in order to keep their jobs. You know, they've made adjustments. Luke Geppy has made adjustments.
15 completions for 282 yards.
282 yards. Yep, absolutely. No, 4 touchdowns as well. Like, he's playing extremely well, and everyone's saying, "Oh, he's turned a corner." But the thing is, I don't want this just to be a flash in the pan, like 2 games, 3. No, I want to see. He doesn't have to ball out like this every game, but I just want to see consistency throughout the season. If he can carry on, they can win a few more games. Then that's answered all their questions. It was never Justin Fields. He always had this talent, but it was perhaps.
Although,
it was yeah.
One thing I was going to say, 230 of those 282 yards went to one guy.
I mean, that's why you brought him there.
It is why you brought him there, but in a game, it's not always going to be he's free.
Yep.
So, next step, spread the ball.
Spread the ball around.
Right?
Lead
Peter,
on your run
do you
game as
agree?
well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that he's got to spread the ball a bit more. But
No, I meant the next step. The next step for him to.
Yeah, the next step for him to is be able to spread the ball to other wide receivers, because DJ Moore's not going to be open all the time. I'm sure the Minnesota Vikings, who they're playing next, might decide that, okay, we're going to double DJ Moore, see where he can go, where else he can go with the football. So I think, and you gotta stop, like, slating my Iberflus, right? He's doing the best he can, okay?
Yeah.
So you gotta give him some time. But here's the thing, though. I think I agree with your words in terms of, like, they're now letting Justin Fields play the type of game he wants to play, and I think the reason why is because when NFL coaches have a lot of egos, right? And I'm gonna make a reference to what happened this weekend. Something happened. They caught it on Twitter in front of the cameras, right? A lot of the coaches have their own ego, right? And they have their plays, they have their playbooks, and they want you, the players, to play how they want you to play, in a sense that they want you to play exactly how they want you to play, run the plays how they want you to play, even if you're not uncomfortable with it. That's the old school type of coaching, and some of these coaches have been brought up in the old school way. But I think a lot of the best NFL coaches these days are coaches that can be more flexible, coaches that can adapt your scheme to the skill set of your quarterback. And I think that's what we saw in a game on last Thursday night between the Commanders and the Bears. I think they allowed Justin Fields to play the game that he felt comfortable with playing. I think they're now running things that are comfortable to his scheme and see how far that's going to take you because you've got to change something. When you're 0-4, I think the Bears came into this season with a lot of high hopes that they're going to be competitive, and it hasn't been the first 4 games. So then that's what you have to do going forward to open up the playbook and let your quarterback play. And if it saves your job, well, good enough, it saves your job, but then you got to carry on and develop Justin Fields
That's the thing.
further in that sense.
I'm gonna kind of bring this back. So my head coach for my Eagles, when Sirianni first started working with Jalen Hurts, he would try and turn him into a pocket passer that would throw the ball down the field. Sirianni had one game plan, I believe it. I don't know, can't recall who was up against, but he decided we're going to do something completely different this game, and it worked. And he did a formal apology on the podium, and he said, "I'm sorry to all the fans. We've been running the wrong offense for this football team." You know, and it was that understanding that you have to adapt. That's what the best coaches do. Mike McDaniel, when he came to Miami,
and he even gave up the play calling, I remember,
yeah,
to your OC to start calling the plays.
yeah, because he realized
And then
this
Shane
is what we have
Steichen
to
ends
do.
up in.
Yeah, and then you guys decided to poach him. But yeah. So I think it's important to play to your QB strengths. It was the same. Like if you have a guy from Ohio State, you need to speak to the OC at Ohio State, see what formations he runs. Does he line up shotgun? You know, what kind of verbiage do they use? Incorporate that into your offense to help them grow. You don't just come to the NFL and it's like, all right, so you're playing Aaron Rodgers' offense, go. You know, that's not how it works. And I think Luke has kind of been humbled a little bit, and he understands that going forward. I mean, don't get me wrong, when your job could be on the line and you could be having to move cities at the end of the year, that's a pretty good motivator to perhaps change how you're perceiving things.
So one thing, not just the offensive side of the ball, defense got 5 sacks in this game. They came out of play.
So
I know somebody who was at the game, and he's a Commanders fan. So yeah, it's a. Do you think it's a performance that we expected though from Chicago? Something had to kind of drop. So the penny had to drop on both sides.
I'll say we didn't expect it. Maybe we expected them to be competitive.
Yeah.
But in this game, I think going into the game, a lot of people expect the Commanders to win because they thought the Commanders has a better offense. They have kind of like better players on their defense in terms of the matchups.
Defensive line.
So exactly. So you expect the Commanders to dominate, but I think the Bears came in. You know, when the team are coming in on we've got nothing to lose. Let's just show up, play hard, play our effort. But I also think, do you think the turnaround for the Bears defense could be Eberflus is now calling plays? I don't know if that's a fact.
Yeah,
because
he is calling the defense. So and he was
okay.
Good
So now
that
the DC resigned because of whatever case he has going on in his personal life and stuff. Do you think the defense performing better now because he was primarily a defensive coordinator, so maybe he called it better? So could this be a turnaround now that he's calling the plays?
I think that could be part of the case, and also if you think from the trenches perspective, from the offensive side, Justin Fields had a lot of time in the pocket at times in this game.
The offensive line is starting to play a bit better now.
But they kept a much vaunted Commanders defensive line at bay for the majority of the time. So, progress for Chicago. Let's see what they do against the Vikings, who don't have a number 1 wide receiver this week. So, now we're going to move on to our weekly segment, Rookie Quarterback Watch. Unfortunately, the Indianapolis Colts, the rookie, is out for a few weeks. Anthony Richardson, grade 3 sprain on his shoulder. And it was in the throwing shoulder. He's out for a few weeks. The Colts still managed to get a win with Will's favorite quarterback in NFL history.
Favorite backup.
Favorite quarterback
No,
in
he's your
NFL
favorite
history.
quarterback.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Will has like a little shrine in his house.
Probably
I saw something. Giants, man, go get him.
No, he's not allowed him. We need him
He's
now.
Eagles royalty now. Like, come on now.
Yeah, no.
So I know this is about like Anthony Richardson. He's got hurt multiple games this season. So either something's got to give from a mentality perspective. This one was where he got hurt on a normal play. This wasn't him trying to run somebody over or anything like that. He got tackled from behind, and he got hurt in that perspective. Or do the Colts can't take away his running capabilities?
Yep.
Because then that removes the dynamism that they drafted him in the first place. But do the Colts need to play him like how the Eagles use Jalen Hurts a little bit more? Because the Eagles have toned that down a little bit, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. They still have designed runs, but it's very much a case of, if it's open, get the yardage, learn to slide,
Get down,
protect yourself. But that's something he's learning. There's a lot of unnecessary. It doesn't matter how big and strong you are. We've seen it with Cam. Jalen Hurts is very strongly built. And Anthony Richardson's even bigger than that. So it's very much a case of, look, it doesn't matter how big and strong you are. It's the NFL. Defenders hit you hard. If I see a big running back or a big quarterback, the commentators don't quite understand. When you're a defender in the NFL, that stuff doesn't intimidate you anymore. That's just a big target. It means, great, I can see exactly where he is. He's larger than everyone else. I'm not going to miss this tackle. Brilliant. So they need to understand that. And there is some silver lining, because who have you been able to sign? You managed to sign your running back? If I'm not mistaken.
Jonathan Taylor is signed to a new contract.
You know what happened
and then Zach Moss in this game goes off.
Yep. No, that's good. You want a 1-2 punch. You want to be able to alleviate these run plays from Anthony Richardson. I'll tell you what happened.
Nah, Zach Moss is saying that, look, you're gonna have to fight to get this job back.
Yep, but that's good. That's what you want. But Jim Irsay, must have had like post-traumatic trauma, like seeing what happened with the late
Andrew Luck.
Not the
late. You make it sound like he's dead. You mean his NFL career is dead? But yes,
NFL career is dead. So he had trauma, and he was saying, you know what? We need someone to run the ball and alleviate this. All right. Why am I being stingy? That extra 10 million, if that means I'm able to keep Anthony Richardson upright and healthy, and he can develop on a normal arc with a good run game, just pay the money. Stop being stingy. Help your young quarterback. And I think that's what happened. It took this happening for back office to realize, damn, we need to be able to spread. We need to take the ball out of his hands and run the ball more. In order to do that,
one thing I'll say about Zach Moss, in 4 games he's played this season, because I only played 4 games, he has 445 yards.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah,
165 in this game, 70 yards the week before, 122 against Baltimore, and 88 against Houston. It's a very good level of production, especially when
very good level.
You've got, and that helps. So, because obviously Jonathan Taylor's not at full rep count right now.
Yep.
That will help, because when you've got somebody who's already performing, it's less pressure to keep putting Jonathan Taylor in the game all the time.
Yep. Jonathan Taylor wants to be out there. Not just that, but like I said, if both of these backs are good, you can't keep both. one of them's going to go, and I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of teams out there that perhaps don't have the run game that they necessarily want, or they want like a 1-2 punch. That would be more than happy to take Zach Moss at a fair price off your hand, whether that's trade assets or just taking the contract off you. So, like I said, one of them can be used as trade bait. You know, one of them can be used to sort of.
Zach Moss is only contracted through the rest of the season, so he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of it. Now, CJ Stroud has a new record. Through, he has the most passing attempts, I believe, of a rookie without an interception. They didn't win the game. They just about lost it. But he's playing sound football. Knowing what we know about Ohio State quarterbacks, is he going to be the anomaly? Because he seems to have a good head on his shoulders when it comes to going through his reads and trying to pass the ball well. He doesn't seem to be making the big errors.
I mean, the early signs are good. So far, so good. And he's playing very well, which is very annoying to me. I need to know a few stinkers, but that's just my biasness talking. You know, I need to have a couple of, bad games. He needs to have a couple of bad games to, help my team out a little bit. But so far, so good. He's been the best rookie quarterback, clearly, out of the rookies that were drafted this year. And it kind of makes you wonder, did the Panthers make a mistake?
Is that he's been the best rookie because he's not making mistakes, or is it because he's actually staying on the field? Because the other two have missed games.
I mean,
no, but I think when you look at the first 4 weeks and you analyze how the quarterbacks have played, he's clearly played the best out of all three. I mean, Richardson is a close second, but I would say CJ has played very well. Even in games that, apart from the first game where he struggled a little bit, his next 3 games he's played very, very well. It's not about not turning the ball over.
So the game against the Colts, he was abysmal in the first half and good in the second.
Yeah,
when the game was done.
Yeah, but we're talking about, okay, so that was one game, and then the last 2 games has been very impressive, even though some of them have come in losses. And as long as, for me, my stance is this is a very biased opinion. He needs to play well, break the rookie passing record, break the rookie touchdown record, but I need him to finish 2-15 or something like that. But he still played very well.
Yeah, no, I think with CJ, the main thing is that he's getting better every week.
This is analysis.
He's getting better every week, and I think that's the main thing for CJ. And if you're a Texans fan, this is what you want to see. You know what he's cut. Their head coach has come from the 49ers. You expect him to make sure the defensive side of the ball is down pat. And if you recall, Pete, what we did we just say? If you want to win a championship, good quarterback play, good defense. If you can get those pieces in place, they've got the defensive head coach there. He knows talent when he sees it, and he can really build that defensive unit. If CJ Stroud continues to improve this season, the Texans have a really bright future.
Got a good foundation, but they've got a good foundation.
Very good foundation. Yeah.
They've got, and to me, I just feel like, and it's quite strange because I mean, when we talk about Anthony Richardson, my question is,
it's just a shame they're in my division, so they're not going to win anything.
That's true, but I just wonder if this will be looked at in the offseason in more detail, because certainly for
they need position players.
A guy his size, in terms of the injuries that he's accumulated early on, just after that has to be looked at. Is he going to be good for I mean, you start getting concerned because, for example, when we compare it to Cam started having injuries and missing games towards the latter part of his career. But in the first 5-6 years, he played every single game, and he could ride through those injuries.
Oh, I'm really concerned now.
Because now the question is, for me, for the Colts, is that... Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know why I'm really concerned?
Oh, your previous one.
With regards to CJ Stroud. Do they have their first round pick next year, don't they? Or they don't?
Oh yeah. No. The Bears have the Panthers first round pick, and we have the Texans.
Okay, so you got the Texans. Okay.
Oh, it's,
Yeah.
Okay. They can't get Marvin Harrison
yeah.
Jr.
No,
Yeah, they can't.
they can't.
They can't get.
They can't. But obviously, if your coach wanna, tank a little bit, you might, end up with the third overall pick.
We'll give you Gardner Minshew, and you'll give us the third overall pick. All right. Okay.
Well, in Dreamland, it always happens. So we can see because it always happens in Dreamland. But and just to touch on Bryce Young, I mean, before I give my take, it's like, what's happened in terms of like Carolina? Is it a receiver issue or?
No, they came up against the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions or
No, I'm talking about overall.
No, I'm talking about this week specifically.
Oh, specifically this week, the Detroit are a top team, so you expect that. But in terms of evaluating the first quarter,
I wasn't. So the point today wasn't to talk about, because obviously we're looking at week on how they're performing on each week.
I mean, who the Panthers playing next?
So the Panthers next week are going to be playing the Miami Dolphins.
No. It's not going to happen.
No. It's not going to happen at all. Okay, I've just received a notification. Okay, so Javonte Williams was full participation in practice today, so it looks like he's back for next week for the Broncos, but they're still going to suck. So, that was just a notification that came up on my phone with regards to. But so in this game that they played against Detroit, I've come to a conclusion about Detroit. Jared Goff is their franchise quarterback. He is.
I agree.
I've seen enough now. I've seen enough now.
I agree.
I thought
I told you guys. Over the course of last year, I said...
Well, when we had the conversation with Finn, right?
Oh, yeah, Finn was actually right. He mentioned it.
He said that... Well, we said that, is it going to be the guy that's going to be the guy, or is he going to be holding the hot seat? We've seen enough. We saw enough last season, and this season we are really seeing enough. And do you know who else on that team I'm happy for? David Montgomery. Everyone was giving him shit with regards to, like Jameer Gibbs needs to get more touches, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And he goes and breaks a 42-yard touchdown run in this game, has 109 yards on the day. They got some ballers, and they didn't even have Amon-Ra in this game.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
they don't have Amon-Ra. They don't have Jameer Gibbs, and David Montgomery.
Able to do.
And then they have that trick play with Sam Laporta. A really good player.
Yeah.
Sam Laporta's a hell of a player. He's
absolutely. Absolutely they are. But I think getting traded from the Rams probably might have actually helped Goff into becoming the guy for Detroit. Because it sounds like what he was traded for, he's really improved on that aspect of his game, which is, I give him big shout outs and credit for, critiquing himself and getting better.
All right. Now we've got to move on to the play of the week. Do you boys have your nominations? I've got my nomination for play of the week. Or who you?
Yep.
So my play of the week, I'm going offensive. I think you guys will probably go defensive because Peter has that defensive bias. It has to be the one-handed catch.
Yep.
By AJ Brown.
That was spectacular.
And spectacular, with only seconds to go in the first half. It was ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous. Now, I have a feeling a one-handed catch from a defensive player might be somebody's Is it going to be somebody's play of the week, or is it going to be something else? Come on, guys.
I've got Tyrann Matthews pick
Pick six.
So that was just, it was beautiful. Like he Honey Badger's always sort of done this his whole career. Like he's very good at giving the illusion that a receiver is open. And luckily for him, he has the closing speed, and he still has the closing speed to be able to pick her out. Because he came from, I didn't even see him on the screen. The ball's in the end, and you literally see a black and gold blur shoot across the screen. He's able to secure the ball, and then he starts breaking off towards the end zone. This is extremely hard to do, especially in between the hashes. Like, deep ball outside perimeter, yeah, but inside the hashes, jumping a route like this was really hard to do, and that reeks of film study. More likely than not, he knew what route the receiver was going to run, and he was able to get underneath. So yeah, no, that's my play of the week.
Peter, do you have one?
Oh, Aiden Hutchinson.
I told you. I said it's going to be a one-handed catch from your defensive player.
Bro, he's a defensive lineman. He just packed the ball out there and took. What more could you want? I mean, Aiden Hutchinson's proven that the Jaguars made a big mistake. We should have been in the 1 overall pick in that draft instead of going for their Combat Olympics guy. Choose football players, guys. He's a football player. He's doing it for the Lions, and that was a great play. That's my play of the week. Aiden Hutchinson made it happen. He's balling out for the Lions, and Trevor Walker is nowhere to be seen.
He is a hell of a player. Hell of a player. All right, baller of the week.
He is.
Now,
and we still buying kneecaps.
Buying kneecaps in Detroit.
Yeah,
I've got to get a t-shirt.
Baller of the week. I say this can only be one man. Chicago Bears. Talked about him at length. 200. How many? Was it 230 yards this boy got?
Yep. 3 touchdowns.
And 3 touchdowns? DJ Moore. Take a bow.
Basically. They couldn't cover him.
And he could have had more. Because did you see that? Did you see that play that got whistled dead? And there's no evidence that he actually stood out of ground. No evidence whatsoever. So 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Any other nominations for Baller of the Week?
For me, he's my Baller of the Week. I have an honorable mention though. Honorable mention, close, but I'll give it to DJ Moore. Fred Warner for the San Francisco 49ers.
He was ridiculous in that game. Yeah, he was ridiculous.
The distraction of the Cowboys by the 49ers defense, he orchestrated that. He was calling everything. And he was running stride to stride with Cowboys receivers. Linebackers don't do that. But he's special. He's a different type of linebacker.
That's why he got his money. Because he's a unique linebacker.
And he was a 3rd round pick. It shows scouting works.
Yep.
Exactly. All right. Well, did you have another mention, or were you going to say DJ Moore as well?
DJ Moore.
All right. Pretty much a unanimous. Okay, now we will move on to a short Week 6 preview. And we have the final of the London games. So, Titans, Ravens. This is going. So, as Peter likes to call him, and so does our friend Marcus, Black Jesus is coming to. Coming to
across the pond.
Now, Lamar and this offense need to fix up because, well, I don't think it's not Lamar's fault, but did you see the drops last week?
Yeah, I mean, the defense this week in practice.
I could hear the drops. Do you know why? My brother's a Ravens fan. He was effing and blinding at the screen. So what the hell
This,
are these boys doing? Because it was ridiculous. They need to fix up. They need to stop
I mean, this week,
lacing their gloves with butter.
it's even gonna fall out. They need to get which the thing that the NFL banned. They need to do it deceptively. Stick them. They gotta get some stick 'em on the gloves because
But the gloves are already sticky as hell already.
nah, they need extra stickers for this week because what more can Black Jesus do? Like, I mean, he's doing what a quarterback's supposed to do. He's getting you guys the ball, and then at the end of the day, you guys are gonna turn around and say the offense don't catch wide receivers. He's trying to make it happen. You guys just gotta catch the ball. So spend an extra hour every day before you fly out to London, or even when you get to London, Jags machine. Practice. Even after practice, you keep practicing.
Get the hands warm.
Various speeds. Get your hands warm. All of that. Because right now, they need to start proving and helping Lamar out here because they're not helping him out. So for me, that's the biggest thing that the Ravens got to improve. And when you look at this matchup, it's a historical matchup because Ravens and Tennessee has had very good competitive NFL history games. In the history of the NFL. So this
At the moment, this Ravens team is not firing on every cylinder. And Titans, they don't seem to be well rounded at all.
But here's the thing about Tennessee. Sometimes they win certain games that you don't expect them to win. I mean, I'm guessing the Ravens are like heavy favorites in this game, but I was surprised if Tennessee won it. But the Ravens defense, this game you gotta bring in Lunchbill because hey, Tennessee gonna pound the football.
Oh well. So if you look at it, the running game isn't going to be going in this game. Both teams have a top 10 run defense.
Well, Ravens got Lamar, which you don't really account for when they count in the run.
Correct, but we even Tennessee. What I'll say is Lamar, even against the Steelers, it wasn't pretty, right? So teams who are good against the run, they're still going to be good against the run, even if it's a quarterback running. Now, the difference in this game is that Tennessee are terrible. Well, if you look at them, both of them are terrible at passing the ball. 26th in the league and 28th in the league. Both defenses are very good at stopping the run, and neither team can pass consistently.
Consistently, yeah.
This is a scary prospect as somebody who's going to the game. I want to see some offense.
Yeah.
Last week was a defensive slugfest until the last quarter. Please give me some offense next week. This week coming.
I'd love to see Zay Flowers.
Flower, literally.
Literally, I'd love to see him play. It's a shame I'm not able to make it to this one, but I think the Ravens just need to get the ball. Receivers help him out because Lamar is doing what he can do. He's staying upright. He's throwing the ball when he sees someone open.
Although I gotta say, when they play the Steelers, I think it's gonna be one of the best fakes, probably the best I've ever seen in the NFL. Did you see how they fake out TJ Watt?
I haven't seen that one, no.
In that same game against the Steelers, there was a play.
I think I was on my. I think I was on my way back from.
TJ Watt he crushed the Flowers, right?
Yes, I have seen it. He utterly crushed it.
I got a tackle for a loss, and the ball was with Lamar.
He completely obliterated it.
It was one of the best fakes I've seen in NFL. Like, it was like, whoop! The ball was gone. So the Ravens might have to do a little bit more of that, but it's going to be a very interesting matchup, and I just hope NFL fans turn up, make it every occasion in London. so that our London Jaguars can get a go ahead to be here.
That's not going to happen, but we'll leave that discussion for an off season
Never say
for
never.
sure. All right, Cowboys Chargers. Well, could the Cowboys lose 2 games in a row here?
Well, you've just got to ask yourself what.
And preface this with this. Sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Preface this with this. Eckler said he's 99% sure to be going on Monday night.
Influencing the bias right now.
Hey, listen. If the thing is, are the Chargers? Can the Chargers punch back? With Austin Eckler, they can. The QB can play well, if put in the right position. If anything, I could
He's
see
better
the
than that,
Chargers
though.
sneaking. Yeah, no, he is. I think I can see the Chargers sneaking this one, but you've just got to hope
There's a big problem.
that I was going to say the head coach, like in his decision making, I just hope he doesn't try
Do you
and
know
lose the game.
Do you know what the really big problem is? Do you know how the Chargers are ranked in defensive yards? Passing.
Well,
They're the worst. Dead last.
What's all right? They got
Like I
Dak
said,
Prescott, man. They're up against Dak Prescott. Like that can equalize things a little bit. No. Honestly,
do you know what that means?
I'm not going to.
Their corners can't cover, bro.
Yeah, I'm not going to respect. I'm not going to sort of disrespect Dallas that much. They need a bounce back game. This could be one of those things. I think both teams, whoever wins this game, is just going to look even worse on the other team. You know, if the Chargers win this game, then that means Dallas are well and truly cooked. But if Dallas win this game, then that means the Chargers are basically done.
No, they have cooks on their team.
No, but I mean like their season. I mean their season's basically done. So it's like whoever wins this game, the other team is just shuttered. So yeah, but of course I want Dallas to lose. Oh, that would be so magical. Heads will roll.
So as things stand at the middle of this week, well, early in this week, Cowboys are slight favourites.
I wonder what Michael Parsons will say at the end. I mean, are they apparently, according to him, they're like right there with the 49ers. What's he gonna say after they lose, if they were to lose to the Chargers?
Exactly, like I said earlier of the pod.
Stay off that.
For me, this game, 2 games in a row, 2 defeats that the Cowboys have had, Michael Parsons is in show. So this game, right, you're going against Rashawn Slater, who's one of the good left backs in this league. Can you dominate that matchup? We just need to see it. And now the Cowboys are going through a phase whereby Mike's dominance in the trenches, his dominance playing edge, linebacker, that's all gonna factor into this game. And like we said that earlier, are the Chargers gonna charge? When I said that, I mean like, are they gonna bottle
something? Are they gonna do something for once?
Exactly, because most of the time they bottle these games away. So this could be a banana skin for the Chargers.
It can't be a banana skin. It can't be a banana skin when you're not the favourites.
I mean, the reason why I say that,
yeah, man, they can find a way to lose the game.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like over the past, couple of seasons,
that is the case. They find a way to lose games.
They go seal the deal in the end, and this is a time whereby they need to go and do it. And I think, I have faith that hopefully,
Yeah, no, it's always crippling when fans watch that happen. But like I said, if it gets to the fourth quarter,
it's close.
Something's going to give. And then you start seeing like receptions without a single defender within 15 yards of the ball. And you're like, this team's trying to lose this game intentionally.
It's uncanny what the Chargers managed to do. I don't know who's going to win this one. It'll be fun to watch, though. It's definitely going to be fun to watch. Now, another game that I've listed here, Lions-Bucks. I think this is actually an important matchup because Lions look like they're going to win the division. Peter,
Mm-hmm.
the Lions look like they're going to win their division. We talked to them about them a little bit already. Bucks coming off the bye, are
It's a
rested.
very intriguing. It's a very intriguing matchup, really, because we get to see that it. Okay, so right now it's kind of like, is Baker really the real deal, and is the Buccaneers going to be the team that finally gets his NFL career back on track and get him going
Do you know what I think about that? Because the Bucks have got such a solid team on the other side of the ball,
Yeah,
he doesn't need to be the hero.
I get that, but here's the thing, though. This is truly his chances, because I think if he has a very good year, by the end of the year, the Bucks will definitely extend him, give him top level
Well,
QB money.
the Bucks have the best turnover differential in the league.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very well coached team, and Baker is proven to be their guy. Baker proves to be their guy.
That also leads in Baker's not turning the ball over.
Yeah, and he's done a pretty good job of that this year, though.
So if he's not turning the ball over and they're getting a lot on the other side, it can only lead to good things. It's gonna be a fun one though, because Jared Goff isn't really turning the ball over a lot either, and Amon Ra, well, I assume he's going to be back. It's gonna be a fun one. What do you think the key to this game though is?
I mean, Bucks versus Detroit.
This is in Raymond James. This is in Tampa.
Yeah.
And it's in Tampa, and it's the late. It's
What are the? Hold on a second. We'll go ahead. I just need to check the stat out real quick.
No, I was gonna say, I'm not gonna. This isn't your old Detroit Lions, that's for sure. You know, you can't. This is not the old Detroit. So they're on a tear right now. They're playing well. Their aggressive defense is firing off. I think it's up to the Bucks to respond. You know, so this is like a really good test for Baker. You know, like if he can protect the ball, I think out of the two QBs, you know, I think Golf is quite a bit better in my opinion. But it'll be really good to sort of see, like, if the Bucks can go step for step with Detroit in the first half, then I think it's going to be a lot closer than we think. You know, so I actually think it's most likely going to come down to defense. And when it comes to defense, that Buccaneers defense is no joke. So I think Detroit, I'm picking Detroit to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the not Buffalo Bills, if the
Tampa Bay
Bucks,
Buccaneers. Yeah,
if Tampa Bay Bucks can play sound football for all four quarters, I can see them sneaking a win here.
All right, moving on to the final game of the week that we're going to preview: Eagles Jets. Now, everyone expects the Eagles to win this game, but that Jets defense drags teams down to their level, plays hard. Eagles offense still is not playing lights out.
Yeah. See, our offense right now is
do the Jets have a chance?
They do have a chance, but I don't think it's much. Like, the longer the game goes, like, they've got to get off to like a really good start, and they've got to keep scoring, which is what I don't think they can do. They can put up some points, they can slow us down, but they've got to keep scoring, because we'll find a way to get to 30 or at least the mid 20s. Now, we're always, so far this season, even though our record's really good, we have had like a slow start to our games. We're not as high powered as we were towards we're not as high powered as like last season. So I think the recipe here for the Jets is to see if they can score early and keep scoring, which they can't do.
I think
I want to see how Zach plays though. I actually want to see him develop.
I think the issue is that the Jets' defense against the run isn't strong. Mm-hmm. So you're just going to pound the rock.
Yeah.
And the Jets can't pound and Philly's got the best run defense in the league.
Oh, devastating. absolutely devastating.
So, as far as I'm concerned, I had initially put this down as an interesting game. It's more interesting to see how Zach Wilson progresses against an elite team and against an elite defense. But the thing is, Philly pass defense isn't that great. It's gonna be fun to watch. Philly are the big favourites in this game, so there's not a lot that we can say on it.
You know what? Actually, I can't wait to see our D-line terrorize Zach Wilson. Like, the pressure up the middle is gonna. It's unlike anything he's seen this whole season. So it's gonna be an eye-opening experience.
And on a completely unrelated note, honourable mention for Player of the Week for Week 5, Jamar Chase. Over 200 yards receiving in that game. Completely unrelated, but it's going to be interesting to see how they play here on out, because they've got a game where they play the Seahawks at home and they need to play well. But aside from that, it's all she wrote for this week. We'll be back next week for another bonanza, and I will have some hot takes on how the Baltimore Ravens play in the Tottenham Stadium. And it's goodbye from myself, goodbye from Peter, goodbye from Will, and we'll catch everybody on the flip side.